did you get your musical identity, and how would you describe it in few words?
I think that I just put together everything that I'd heard. I grew up listening to all genres of music from all over the world, and I had a lot of kind of music within my family, and that was a big part of my upbringing. So when I started writing, it felt very natural, and I think that I just allowed myself to find my own sound and then create my own identity. And I don't quite know how to explain that, but
And what did you tell in your lyrics?
I have, I think, a lot of very detailed stories. My lyrics are often very cryptic, but they're always like life stories that I've had, something really kind of dramatic that has hit me, whether it's, you know, I have a couple of songs about, you know, broken relationships or temptation, or, you know, even down to religion and kind of just experiences of my own. I think that kind of relate to everybody. Everybody's had them.
Did you feel in general or from the industry a kind of pressure to be more mainstream?
Of course. Yeah, definitely. I think in Europe the pressure is less, actually. I think there's a lot more acceptance. So if you think that there's pressure over here, then imagine being in North America. But I've never really kind of wavered that much, and I think that it's maybe harder to get your crowd, but eventually you start seeing it like pay off, and the people that become your fans are very, very loyal, and they, you know, you're not just, my hope is that you're not just somebody who, you know, has a hit single, only one, and then it's over. I hope that you build a career and you develop a community of people who appreciate you. So,
Can you tell us about your best and your worst experience in your career?
Well, there was a recent one that was really wonderful. In Toronto, like I said, there's a lot of pressure to sort of be mainstream, but I was part of this competition, and I'm not really for competitions. I really, really hate it, actually, but in the end I came out and I won, and to me it wasn't so much about winning, it was about like kind of getting the respect from your city, your hometown, and like the appreciation, and seeing that, okay, like I can do what I want and people do appreciate that. So that was a really big deal for me, and that was just very recent. Worst? I think the worst has probably happened a few times, like when I've been on tour and I have to play a show every day and I get extremely sick and you can't cancel. So that's very, very painful, and you become very sensitive and whiny and cry and turn into a baby and then go on stage and act very strong and fake it.
What did you love most about your job?
I think the people, meeting people, collaborating with other musicians, it's always really exciting for me to, it's like relationships. I think you develop relationships with your audience, you develop relationships with people you play with, and you know, that to me is probably the most special part of it.
And how did you keep yourself motivated?
I mean, there's always a challenge. You know, there's no end point to this career, I think. When it's something that you're passionate about, you know, there's no destination. It's just kind of, you keep working and working and working, and that to me is motivating enough as it is.
Mm-hmm. Do you have any words of advice for young people who wants to do this business, do music?
I think that you have to figure out what it is you want. Do you want to do this because you're really passionate about it and you love it, or do you want to do this because you want to simply be famous? Because I think they're two very different paths. I mean, I think they can both lead to fame, but if you only want fame, I think you have to write for the consumer, period. And, you know, very obviously with a formula and follow sort of what is trendy right now exactly. And if you want to do it because you love it, I think you're more open to experimentation, and that if that's what feeds you, then you know you go a different route. And I think that's a place to start, because if you want fame and you start just experimenting, I don't think it's going to happen overnight.